I know very few people who don't have goals, and those people's minds and lives are all over the place. If you want to achieve anything worth achieving at all, in any aspect of your life, you need to know what it is you want to achieve. To quote the old song, if you don't have a dream, how are you going to have a dream come true? We have explored so far in this video series the extent to which the normal mind works against us, and most excitingly, we have discovered that we only need to tweak our way of seeing things just a little bit to get our minds working for us. But when we have our minds working for us, what are we going to ask them to do for us? What goals do we want our fully engaged, mindful minds to achieve for us? And is there some way that we can fully engage our own minds in the understanding that that goal is achievable, regardless of how grand the goal might be? Earlier on in this video series, I talked about the extent to which we only perceive and achieve what we expect to perceive and achieve. And I made the point at the time that clearly if we changed our expectations, the outcome would change. But I used the word expectation in a very particular way, and in fact I was referring to how the subconscious mind expects things to happen. If you cast your mind back to the story of my friend who was a woeful public speaker, because his 3 uncles had laughed at him when he was a 3-year-old. He expected, every time he stood up in public, that somebody would laugh at him. And that expectation played itself out in the way in which he behaved himself automatically. We can give ourselves new expectations. We are not restricted by the extent to which, under normal circumstances, the adult mind is unable to take new psychological snapshots and place them neatly in our stored knowledge. Research from Harvard has shown that if we handwrite what we want as if we already have it, then our subconscious mind will take note of what we're writing about and expect it to happen. Now that may sound a little simplistic. Let me give you a classic example, a well-known example of how this works. I'm talking about Muhammad Ali, or at the time he was known as Cassius Clay. And back in the early 1960s, Muhammad Ali talked about writing future history. Now clearly, in normal parlance, those two words don't go together. What is future history? Well, when Muhammad Ali would sign the contract to fight a fight, he would take himself off to the place where the fight was to be fought, a couple of months in advance. So you could picture him, for example, in an empty Madison Square Garden a couple of months before a world title fight. And what Muhammad Ali would do would be sit down in the empty Madison Square Garden with what he called his magic book, a simple writing pad. And he would handwrite there what I see, what I feel, what I hear, what I smell, and what I taste. Here, in Madison Square Garden now, in the moment after I have won the title fight. As we said in an earlier video, you have 5 senses. You should use them. You should pay attention to them, and you should use them to ensure that you can give yourself new subconscious expectations. For a professional boxer, winning a world title fight is what I might describe as a perfect moment. Very often for us mere mortals, considering what might be a perfect moment for us is a far more difficult question to answer. But what I would suggest to you is that you begin to consider what it would be like for you to have arrived at a point in your life where you had achieved something wonderful, something big, something extraordinary. And without being too specific about what that something big or extraordinary might be, begin to describe for yourself how it would feel, how it would look, how it would sound, and even how it would smell and taste to have arrived at that wonderful moment. Now, as we progress, as we go through the 8-week period, we're going to have to explore goal setting more, because our subconscious minds do need direction. They've been taking direction from the psychological snapshots that we took during our formative years up to now. If you're going to give your subconscious mind new direction, you need to do it very directly and very carefully. So we need to explore that further. But for now, the key point I'm making is that if you expect something different to happen, you will perceive differently, you will behave differently, you will achieve differently. The expectation I'm talking about is a subconscious expectation. It's not something that you will carry around in your mind every day saying, I'm going to achieve this, that or the other. In fact, you will never say, I am going to, or I will, or I wish I could. What you will say in handwriting is, I have. I am here. I can see it. I can feel it. I can hear it. I can smell it. And I can taste it. When you give your subconscious mind that expectation, you have your grand purpose. And that is the purpose that, when allied to mindfulness or focus, gives you the kind of purposeful mindfulness or purposeful focus that enables you achieve what the normal mind couldn't even imagine as being possible. We all have purposes. We have grand purposes, but we even have purposes for today. My purpose right now is to ensure that you get what I'm talking about. So obviously, we all have many opportunities during the course of our ordinary lives to write about how it will feel, how it will look, sound, smell and taste when we have achieved even a small purpose. The point is, the research is there. It confirms that if we handwrite what we want as if we have it already, then, armed with that purpose, our mindfulness will ensure that we do just what we need to do in the here and now to achieve just what we expect to achieve effortlessly.